Friends and family of YouTube, welcome to this edition of the Red Cup Review. I am your host, Rob Banks. And today you'll notice that I'm decked out in my suit. And why? Because Red Cup Review and Sideshow Collectibles are teaming up to bring you some really awesome statue reviews from this point going forward. Now, this isn't turning into a statue review channel, and we hope that you people over there at Sideshow enjoy this as much as we do. Red Cup has gone corporate, because everybody's got a price, right? Thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of the Red Cup Review, and thank you Sideshow for allowing us to join forces to review this awesome piece. Again, please smash that like button and consider joining the Red Cup family on the future adventures in our reviews here at the Red Cup Review. I love the attention to detail. I love how Sideshow took their own flair and mixed it with Hush and then kind of put a little bit of an Arkham City twist like the Batman from the video game. It looks great. I love the battle damage on it. You can see the Catwoman claw marks. He's got that shotgun birdshot blast in the upper right-hand corner of his chest there. The paint on the torso is very well done. I like the idea that they were able to use this kind of chainmail-y mesh-looking effect around the neck area, inside the elbows, around the knees, and the groin area. That actually gives the suit a sense of mobility, and it actually makes sense from a design perspective as how Batman would actually wear his costume. Looks awesome. The utility belt actually looks like a utility belt where it can actually pull things out of. And the base is real nice and heavy. This thing's got to come in at least 15 to 18 pounds. It's pretty massive. And the way the cape flares out, it could really be even bigger depending on how you want to pose the cape. And he just looks great. He looks like he's ready to just jump into action and bust some heads. You know, Sideshow really makes a good case for non-statue figure collectors to get into statue collecting because their pieces are just so big and imposing. And as we look at the rest of this whip around, you can see, we're going to look a little later on, he actually fits in with the other premium formats. I only have 3 of them, the classic Superman and Wonder Woman, but he fits in really well. Now we're going to take a closer look at the rest of the figure. We're going to do a little bit of a piece-by-piece breakdown. We're going to start over here with the cowl and the face sculpt. And as far as the sculpt goes, we'll start there. It's beautiful. I love this look for Batman. He's got the strong jaw. I love the idea that they put a little bit of like a mesh, what looks like a little bit of like a mesh or like chainmail type looking material underneath the neck piece here, and on the back, on the sides here. It shows you that they actually thought to themselves, how could this guy articulate his neck while still having the Kevlar on it? It looks great. It's got some battle damage to it, as you can see right above his eye. You see the 2 scratches right near his eye there and there, and it actually goes underneath his eyelid as well. Awesome. Good work. Love the way that the bridge of the eyepiece looks. It looks great. There's a little bit of battle damage on the top there. Very cool. Very good stuff on the sides. Scuffs and stuff. So we're going to address the paint now. And I want to tell you what's really awesome about this. I'm going to try to hold it like right there. He's in the graveyard, right? He's in the cemetery. At least that's the way they're depicting this version of Batman. And you can see it's not just flat black paint. It's got like a little bit of like texture to it. Right? It almost looks like he was out in the rain, and it's like kind of dried, but not really totally dried up yet. And I just love that look. It really gives a nice little bit of graininess to the actual the paint on the cowl, and the face paint is actually very realistic. It's got a couple of imperfections in the skin, which is nice because that adds more to the realism. The lips do not look like they are painted like lipstick painted, and the lines are nice and clean, and especially from a distance, the flesh tones look pretty spot on. Now here are the different hands, and even though I'm completely blown away by this piece, I know a lot of statue collectors are very particular, so we're going to take a quick close look at each of the individual pieces, right? I love that mesh look again. It shows you how the hands can have some nice articulation in there. The detailing is really nice. There could have been a little bit more weathering on the knuckles, and I like that bat symbol on the back of each of his hands. It's pretty cool. Same thing goes for the fisted hand. Again, the knuckles could have been a little bit more dusted up, but I think it works and looks great. Now on to the exclusive pieces here. I'm no master painter, but I could tell you that even though it looks great and subtle around the blades, it gives it that nice metal effect, and they're actually pretty sharp, so be careful there. When you go to dry brush stuff and make it look metal and scuffed up, as long as you stick to the edges, it'll look used and worn, as you can see in here, which is great. However, when you just start going onto a flat surface, sometimes they could just look like dabs of paint. right? You see, especially on this one. Now over here, it's nice and subtle, and it looks scratched up and realistic, like real metal. Over here, at certain points, it could look like it was just like painted on, like globs of paint. But when you go from a distance, it actually looks pretty much better. I don't think you're going to be looking at your stuff this up close. But from over here, it looks all right. Now, it's a dual-layer cape, right, as you can see here, right? And the wires are really nice and strong, and they're going to hold up. But you guys are going to have to fuss with it to get the type of pose you want. Now, it starts totally black at the top. It has that nice Kevlar-y type material feel to it. I don't think it's going to deteriorate over time. However, I would suggest every collector having a dehumidifier in their house. Then it goes subtly into a dark brown and into a light brown. And that's where I got the idea that it was possibly happening in the rain. This pose here, this statue that they were trying to capture with it. However, if I had to be super critical, I would say that the transition, even though it's all totally brown at the bottom, could have been, even though the transition is damn near perfect, it could have been a little bit more staggered, right? As opposed to just kind of airbrushed or however they did it to give it a consistent across the bottom. It should have been a little bit more inconsistent to add to the realism. And on the inside, you get like this quilted pattern, right? So it's like two different patterns going on, which is pretty nice. You know, it just looks good. The wires are really nice and heavy and durable. Again, guys, your mileage may vary. I think this thing is just stunning. Now, the base. Things I like, things I'm not that crazy about. It's really heavy and durable and nice, and it's got a good quality feel to it. Big thumbs up. I absolutely love this piece. It looks great. I don't know if it's the paint job itself or the way that it's sculpted, that it really captures the shadows. So that's really done nice. The mud is kind of formless, which is cool and realistic. I absolutely love these bricks, even though they're in the back. They're painted excellently and sculpted great, like the RIP in the back. The attention to detail is really nicely well done. The foot doesn't sit totally in the peg, but that's fine because it almost looks like he's lifting off. And he would almost have to, like, be ready to jump into action the way they have him posed. However, although the Amadeus Arkham, right, the Mad Dog 4-1, I don't know what the 4-1 means, so if anybody in the comments wants to let me know what the whole 4-1 thing is, please do. By comparison, paint-wise only, the sculpt is fine. This is a 10. This, because it's too flat, the paint. The paint almost makes it feel like the gravestone is clay. It almost has like a clay look to it. And that's only in comparison to this and the bricks behind. And that's a shame because this is the one that sits front and center. Although it's a good idea to... I like the idea. The execution, though, just on the paint on this leaves a little bit to be desired. Now we're just going to show you guys just how big and massive the cape actually is. The cape is pretty big. If you want to have it billowed out like that, there are strong wires in it. However, they're going to sag a little, but it's about a little over 2 feet. It's got to be. Definitely over 2 feet wide if you had it stretched from end to end. However, if you want to pose it on the body, what I do is I like to take my finger and run it along the outlines of the statue and kind of get it over the arm, tucked down, right? So it fits to his body, and each pleat has a wire in it. So in order to show off as much of the statue as possible, what I like to do is you kind of tuck it under here, and there's a little lip right here on his gauntlet. You kind of just rest it on there, and that gives it that perfect sweeping in the wind look without having it actually look like it's hanging or pinned behind anything. And it works out pretty perfectly. Speaking of capes, there's no assembly instructions in here when it comes to the cape. So what you're going to have to do is here, we're going to remove the head. It's on a magnet, right? And this cape, in order to get it to sit like this when you take it out of the box, it's not going to because the wires are all flat, right? So as you can see in here, there's a little indentation, right? Around here. You're going to want the wires of the cape that are in each pleat to kind of hook around into each of these areas and tuck in to where you can put the cape on and it just kind of sits by itself. So like a wire, this wire for instance, comes up here. You're going to want to bend it and hook it into this little hole so it sits right above the ridge of his back. So when you put the head on, like so, right, it eliminates the seam between the magnet or the rest of the cowl here and the body. If you don't do that, you're just going to sit it on the way I did, and it's going to kind of half pop out like that. And you're going to see space. So in order to get rid of that space and separation, you really got to kind of tuck it in there and then give it a couple of pushes to really bend those wires in there and let it sit flat and flush. Now, height comparison-wise, Batman stacks up pretty good with the Superman and Wonder Woman. These are the only premium formats I have in my collection, and I think he actually fits in pretty well here. I like how they're all looking in the same direction, so they're not kind of all over the place. You know, they all have that, like, preparing for battle look. Batman comes in at 23 inches tall from base to the tip of his ears, his cowl, and Superman and Wonder Woman are in the 25 and a half inch range. So even though Batman's 2 inches shorter, he's actually much bulkier and wider than the other two. And as far as actual weight goes, Superman is the heaviest, probably because of the cape out of all of them. Then Batman, then Wonder Woman's the lightest if you had to compare them all by weight. In conclusion, we just want to say thank you, Sideshow Collectibles, for giving us this awesome piece to review for our friends and family at the Red Cup Review. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so and smash that like button, as we had said earlier on. If you statue collectors, we hope to be a little bit more critical and better off going forward. We'll see you on a future episode. Thanks for watching.